Well, it's mainly was a way of warning everybody, get ready, start, Welcome everyone, glad you're here. Merry Christmas.
Yep.
Got a little giant cookie, well, depends on it's, relative. So anyway, we got a cookie back here for you if you're interested. In fact, I wasn't planning on eating any of it. And since I had a few minutes there listening to the music, I thought I'd just drink my tea and have a little corner. So anyway, tonight, how about that? We're going to hit step 12 again, because we do step 12 on the 12th month. That's the way we do all the steps. In January, which will be when we're meeting again, because we're going to be off next week, and then January the 4th we're going to be off that. So January the 11th we'll be starting afresh with step 1. All right. So that way we can get Brian hooked up in there, eventually. So see, I'm still working on you, Brian. So here we go. Tonight's topic is talking the walk, out of 1 Timothy 4:14 through 16. So, talking the walk. What does that mean? Anybody want?
That's backwards.
Well, because our normal phrase is walking the talk.
Yes, sir.
And so, but tonight, our topic here out of the book is talking the walk.
Well, because we've already walked the steps now, or we talk and share the message with
There you go. Yes. That guy, he is sharp. You want to be careful. He'll cut you. So,
deep, wide, and often.
So, anyone else? I mean, what else can you add to that now? Bobby just, cut it deep, wide, and
Often.
yeah. So that's what tonight is about. So, like he said, we've walked it through, and now we need to make sure that we share that message with others. So, walking the talk is actually helping ourselves to become in alignment with the steps, with what we believe that is God's will for our lives. And now the focus in step 12 is sharing that we have walked out. So now we're going to talk about our walk. That makes sense, right? And that's how we tie in step 12 to our topic tonight. Any comments on that before I read a couple other things? Nope. Okay. Did you have anything you want to say, Will?
Jesus loves you.
That's always a good thing to pull out of the hat, isn't it? Some things that I have written down here. Meaning of talking the walk is that one meaning is a reflective communication. We're communicating to others in a way that we are relating our values, our beliefs, and our real life that we want to live. Does that make sense? Reflective communication. Sharing experiences. We're talking about the actual steps. Okay? Now, Robert sometimes, can I use you as a semi-example here? Robert talks about, you don't even know what I want to talk about, and you haven't answered me yet, so I'm going to take a non-answer as an answer as yes. How about that?
Yeah.
So, Robert talks about that he'd gone through the steps several times in different places, but I may be putting words in your mouth a little bit, and you can correct me if you like. You got some of the words, but you didn't get the understanding that you're getting now. You're getting a deeper understanding not just the words, but the meanings of the words and what we'd call the wisdom of those words. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Okay. And so when we're talking about the actual steps, the actual struggles, and the actual victories that embody one's principles that we've been walking out in our faith, and now we're talking about that. We're sharing that. And when you have something that you know that works for you, you're not, different people worry about sharing and that they might be wrong, but if you're sharing what's worked for you, what you've learned and what's working, how can that be wrong because it's working for you? Because you're saying, not that you have to do this, but this is what worked for me, it's helped me. And that's basically been my whole life, is I've tried to find things that work for me, and if they work for me, maybe they'll help you too. Because I have a hard time talking about stuff that doesn't work. I mean, why? Why would I talk about it,
You can't settle it.
No, I don't. I mean, I can just tell you, hey, I tried that, but it didn't work, And but why talk about a negative? The third thing they talked about is being authentic in your words. We talk about being authentic. I talk about being authentic. I talk about being honest, because that's really that does something from person to person. I used to have a former another staff member that I worked with, that he says, people vote with their feet. And of course I really didn't understand what that meant. I was probably 19, 20 maybe, and he said people vote with feet. And what he was saying was, they pick it up, and they may not say anything about it, but if it doesn't line up with them, they move away from it. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Right? So we want to be authentic, using honest dialogue to share how one's actions reflect their inner connections. Okay? And that's just basically being truthful. Be true to yourself and be truthful to others. And people can feel that. They resonate with it. All right, let's flip it around, because I've always found that people recognize the negative better than the positive sometimes. When someone lies to you, you're not sure what's going on, but you have an idea there's something off. I have a guy that says, used to say, I'm not around him anymore, but he used to say, now that kind of raises my spidey sense.
Yes.
And talking about an individual, how they interact, and so and that's what we could even call maybe spiritual discernment, because we know, right? Folks that have some substance abuse issues, oftentimes I've heard people talk about this, and it's been said many times. They're sitting around a place, and then all of a sudden they get a feeling it's time to go. And so they go. And they're glad they did, because things changed there pretty quickly. So we can pick those things up, right?
Yes, sir.
You guys kind of went cold on me there.
Yes, sir.
So, anyway, tonight, step 12, having had a spiritual awakening. This is what we're talking about, having had a spiritual awakening. Have you had a spiritual awakening?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Have you had just one? Or have you had more? Bobby, you seem to be the only one answering, so should I turn around and talk to you?
One major one.
One major one, but you've had
Yes.
others also? Because that's the way it is, isn't it?
Yes. It's a process, just
It's,
like that feel.
It's from an enlightening to an enlightening to an enlightening. In fact, could we handle it all at once?
Nope.
No. So, having had a spiritual awakening, as a result of these steps, we try to carry this message to others and to practice. Keywords practice, right? Why do we practice things? Is because we want to get better at it. And we want to practice what we want. We don't want to practice what we don't want. You don't need any help practicing what you don't want because you've been practicing that for a long time already.
And practice makes permanent.
Practice makes permanent. Doesn't make perfect, makes permanent. And if you practice the wrong stuff, that becomes permanent too. So, and to practice these principles in all of our affairs. So, tonight, Willie is going to be expounding what he's learned from this and help us to get up to speed with him. And then Vanessa, if he misses anything, she's going to fill in all the gaps, right?
Yes.
All right.
And call Will on.
Yeah. So, any thoughts, any questions before we go into the music? Now, again, we're not going to be here next week, which is the 28th, and then we won't be here on the 4th, but we will be back on the 11th. Everybody good with that? Okay? And on the 11th, we're going to be having Will Cook. All right, Will. Will Cook's going to be teaching the step 1, dangerous self-deception. Right, Will? All right. Are you ready for that?
Absolutely.
All
I
right.
see myself a lot.
So, anyway, in case you wanted to look that up, that's in Judges 16:1 through 31. So, I'm glad you're here tonight, and we're going to get started. So, hit 'em up, blow 'em out. Maybe I didn't need that.
You're good.
Glory, glory, hallelujah, since I laid my burden down. Glory, glory, hallelujah,
a good week? Okay week? All right.
How about you?
I had a really good week. I had a very productive day today. It's first, really productive day, probably since putting up the fence.
Is that the fence keeping everybody out?
Well,
Your personal fence?
yes, no.
2, 3.
As a prison, school as a grave, shame as a robber, and he's done to take my name. Love is my redeemer, and me I'm proud. Love is the power when my freedom song is found. There ain't no grave. Oh, my body down. There ain't no grave. Oh, my body down. When I hear that trumpet sound, gonna rise up out of the ground. There ain't no grave. Oh, my Slow down all the time. Clear as a tyrant. He's always telling me to run. Love is a resurrection. Love is the trumpet sound. Love is my weapon. Gonna take my giants down. There is no grave. Oh, my body down. There ain't no grave. Oh, my body down. When I hear that trumpet sound, gonna rise out of the ground. Grave. Oh, my body down. Was a battle, war between death and life. Upside down the lion, and he said I'm captain free. Hey, love his body down. Hey, love his body down. Hey, love his body down. There ain't no day on my body down. When I sing that song, that really feels like it is a warning to the devil, you know, because it's like, don't mess with me, because you can't have me, you can't keep me down, and I just say declare that right now. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I am found. Was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my Jesus, lover of my soul. Jesus, I will never let you go. Taking me from the miry clay, you set my feet upon the rock. Now I know that I love and I need you. Though my world may fall, I'll never let you go. My Savior, my closest friend, I will worship you until the very end.
Do we have anybody that would like clean time tonight? Anybody looking for a bracelet tonight?
Right.
Okay, all right. Do it. Awesome.
Here at Saturday Night Live, we like to acknowledge clean time with colorful bracelets, like this. This clean time isn't just from drugs and alcohol, but for whatever keeps you in bondage. Whether it be drugs, alcohol, anger, gambling. See, this is why I read it. Food addiction, lying, cheating, stealing, you fill in the blank. So we have white bracelets just for the day or less than 30 days. Would anybody like a white bracelet? All right. Orange for 30 days. Green for 60 days. Maroon for 90 days. Blue for 6 months. Yellow for 9 months. Glow in the dark for a year. Gray for 18 months. Black for 2 up to 5 years. All right. Congratulations, good job. Lily's got it for you. Silver for 5 up to 10 years. Gold for 10 or more. And again, we have white bracelets just for today or less than 30 days. All right, guys, keep coming back, it works.
Thank you, Vanessa.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Vanessa.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Robert.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, Robert.
The 12 steps. In case you never noticed, they're also posted on the wall.
Thanks for saying.
All right, step 1, we admitted that we were powerless over our problems and that our lives had become unmanageable. Step 2, we came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. Step 3, we made a decision to turn our wills and our lives over to the care of God. Step 4, we made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. Step 5, we admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. Step 6, we were entirely ready to have God remove these defects of character. 7, we humbly asked God to remove our shortcomings. Step 8, we made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. Step 9, we made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. Step 10, we continued to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. Step 11, we sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God, praying only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry it out. Step 12, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to others and to practice these principles in all our affairs. And just a reminder, tonight we are on step 12. Having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to others and to practice these principles in all our affairs.
Thanks, Robert.
Yeah, thank you, Robert. Willie.
Hi, Willie.
How are we doing tonight?
Pretty dandy.
Good, good.
How did Al do up there?
Oh, yeah. Don't put me on the spot here. You know me. I'm gonna figure it out as I go. Like I do every day.
We all do that.
Yep. Good evening. I already did that. Talking the walk. Having had a spiritual awakening as of the result of these steps, we tried to carry out this message to others and practice these principles in all our affairs. When we realize everything has been gained by following the 12 steps, it will be natural to want to share this life-giving message to others.
Okay, so when we realize this, the gains that we've gained through following the steps, doing the steps, do you agree with that or disagree with that?
Yes.
Okay,
I
why?
do. Well, because when you actually hit realization, when that actually hits you, there's a complete change that you just, to grasp it, you've got to explain it to somebody else. You've got to tell them, hey man, I was this way and this happened and this, it's a deal that you've got to tell them.
So what does that do for you when you tell them?
When you're telling them what's that there, hold on. For me, to tell them that, hey, this is what has happened to me and this was the outcome of it, it clears me up that I am on the right path. It helps me see further down the line.
So it helps you in the sense that it creates clarity for you
Right.
because you're communicating it to someone else.
Yes.
Okay, so what you're doing, correct me if I'm wrong here, so it's kind of like it's abstract to you. In other words, it's not fully realized until you've kind of organized it and then tried to talk it out and gain the verbal ability to communicate, and that helps to bring clarity. Is that
Yes.
what you're saying?
Yes.
Do you guys agree with that? Robert?
I've been through this for many years, and like you said before, it required lots of attempts before it really kind of made sense. And originally, my family thought that I should be able to recover just with church. And I tried,
Understand.
but I needed more.
Right.
And
Wait, can we stop right there?
yes,
Can you expound on that statement? You needed more something, okay?
more of kind of bringing my personal experience in my addiction to reconcile how not only I could throw it on God and ask for His help, but believe that He would give it to me, even though the terrible things that I've done to others. So I had to really do some soul searching, and I had to forgive myself, and I don't think I ever got that message just from church. It wasn't until I really delved into the 12 steps where I got that, and hearing other people share their experiences.
Why do you think that is?
Well,
Because all of us go through that, right? But it's hard to verbalize that. We all sense the understanding, kind of like what Willie was talking about, but I wanted to just kind of press you a little bit.
yeah,
You're welcome.
I guess just, I prayed a lot and asked for forgiveness from God, but I didn't ask Him to help me forgive myself until I heard others express that.
Good.
So once I absorbed all that, it just made it to where it makes sense.
Okay.
And so I can't express how much not only this group, but my Gambling Anonymous group especially, they just hit the nail on the head
Good.
with me and
Good.
my addiction.
Good.
And I never had that until a little over 3 years ago when I came to Joplin, you know, and so I'm so thankful because it took me a long time to get here.
Right, right. And so can I restate that, and you correct me if I'm wrong?
Yes,
I'm not changing it, hopefully I'm bringing some clarity to it, and that is that being in a place where people have worked similar issues, and they had those experiences, it helps you to take the message that you already knew, but you were able to connect it with experiences that you were observing. And that's exactly what we're talking about here today, right?
exactly. Yeah.
Talking the walk. And so it made it more practical or workable for you to implement or practice.
Right, and I didn't see that in the church, because although they all had good intentions, they had never been in the position that I was in. And they could say anything they wanted to, but they didn't know.
Right.
They didn't know the reality.
Well, and this is gonna sound bad, okay, I understand it, but that doesn't mean it's not true, okay, what I'm getting ready to say. You know, and the church don't realize it, okay, but they're more interested in living in a kind of a fantasy system than in really addressing reality of what's going on, because nobody wants to really bring their problem out. We're always in covering it up, and I don't mean that to be harsh. But it's just
It's just human nature.
and so you know, I've said before, I had a recovery meeting for 5 years before we started this one over 20 years ago, and I realized in that meeting that nobody wanted to. None of the church people, I'm just going to use them because that's basically what it was made up of, wanted or could, because you keep that stuff hidden, okay? That's just between me and God, and it never ever gets dealt with because we're stuck, right? Would you agree with that, Robert?
Absolutely.
And so that's the reason why I do what I do. And that's the reason why I like to do dialogue instead of just speaking or preaching,
Right.
even though it seems like I talk a lot. But hopefully I'm talking to you and not at you. Would you?
You're
Yes?
talking to me.
Talking to,
I can't speak for everybody else, though.
Oh, I love it.
I'm talking to you,
Yeah.
but not at you.
Right.
Okay, well, thank you very much. I got one.
I second the motion.
It's all right. Yes, Will.
For me, when I go to church, I have this perception of everybody there as being already set with God in a way that I can't relate to because I know my past. But when I come here, I can actually get honest with myself about who I am and
Good.
how to fix it.
Good.
We can't fix a problem we don't know we have.
Right.
It was mentioned here once or twice. Enough for me to remember, so it's been a while.
Haven't tonight, but,
Right.
now we have.
So I asked you, anyway, when I come to a meeting like this, not only do I feel that I can get honest with myself, I can accept others for who they are. But when he said that, when I share that experience with somebody else, that spiritual awakening, what I'm feeling is a sense of gratitude for what God has done for me, especially if they can accept the message for what it really is and they can relate. And I don't want to make it all about me, but I tell people about this meeting all the time because this is what's dear to my heart. And I feel it's a great stepping stone to get to the point where I can be accepted into a church. I've been going to my church for over a year. I mean, off and on at first, but now it's a regular thing, and they're just now getting to the point to where they accept me. And I've had them come up to me and say, well, I don't know your story, but they never ask for it either, because they don't want to know my story. They just know it's not like their story at all,
Yeah.
because they've seen the growth in me from coming to these meetings and be able to honestly open it up. And even if I don't want to admit something, somebody else gets up there and they admit what I'm going through, and it's me a whole lot easier for me to accept me for me. And that makes it a whole lot easier for me to go to church and accept me for my flaws and all.
And this goes back to what I was saying a while ago when I opened this meeting up about being authentic and honest. And the intention in church is not to be dishonest, but the fact of it is, it's almost an unspoken system, okay, that you pick up on, because if you are, when you start to try to be honest, it spooks people. Right, because they don't know how to handle it. They don't know what to say, they don't know what to react, and it just spooks. And that's understandable, right? And I'm not trying to be ugly. It's just the truth. So and you know, and so that's the reason why I try to get you all to talk. Okay, it's the reason why I try to have dialogue. Is because as you're able to do that and you're able to put words to what's going on inside, that helps you to communicate and become more and more authentic. And as you do that, you get lighter and freer and more real, and you start liking yourself more, okay? So you're able to be more open and vulnerable, right? Isn't that true?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now that sounded sarcastic.
Yeah.
Robert.
I have a kind of an interesting experience. A few weeks ago, I'm going to this, out of my church, I'm going to what they call a men's meeting, which they have every couple of weeks. And I don't know, maybe a month or 6 weeks ago, there was only like 3 or 4 of us at the meeting. And so the prepared topic went by pretty fast. And so the guy who's kind of in charge of the meeting just said, so Robert, tell me about your story. I don't really know much about you, but I see that you're pretty faithful in attending church and coming to these extra meetings now and then. And I looked at him and I kind of smiled and says, okay, you asked for it. So I told him in some detail about my story. And when I was done, he just shook his head and he said, my gosh. He said, that's a testimony. He said, thank you so much for sharing that. I don't really know what to say.
Yes, yes.
But I think he appreciated it, and
Yes.
I felt good about saying it, so everybody was happy.
Yes.
Can I say something? Or, okay, I'm gonna take a silence as a yes. So,
Yes, Vanessa, you may.
for a very long
Please.
time, I had the same beliefs. Even though I grew up in church, I was best friends with the preacher's kids. I knew the dirt in the home, you know? But I still had we all grew up with this authority, issue, I think. I'm not gonna say all. A lot of us grow up with authority issues due to trauma, abuse, whatever, or neglect, abandonment, blah, blah, blah. And so when there are people in power, we have anxiety. But what I noticed is through the time that I've been in recovery and I've been getting better, when I do open up about my walk, now I have had a couple preachers say, be careful what you share so that people don't think poorly of you. Well, it hurt my feelings, that was some serious church hurt, but then after a while I sat with it and then I rejected it. I'm I'm not going to let that stop me, because that was just the enemy trying to keep me from sharing. But the truth is a lot of us here, we have that next step that a lot of people that are in church that need more but don't know where to get it. It's kind of like being a student teacher. When we speak up first, it inspires others to speak up too. And so I just want to say that because I've been there and kind of on the other side, and I know I talk a lot, but that's why I talk a lot, because hopefully whenever I talk, it inspires others to share also. And that's how a lot of people in the church get healing otherwise, you know? So, yeah.
Because our churches are filled with people that are suffering in their souls from everything that we talk about, okay, that they're eaten up with that, and they're doing their best to they're doing what they know, okay, but they still have that same stuck feeling we were talking about, and oftentimes people go through this cycle and they do the best they can until they erupt, and then they're out a while, and then they can't stand that anymore, so they come back in and they go through the cycle again, and it's good for a little while, but then we don't get it, and then it erupts again. You don't cycle, right? And I'm not trying to be critical. I'm just saying that's reality, because I've been watching it for 50 years, okay? And it's hard. It's hard to do anything from the outside. I'm talking about me with them, unless someone asks me, and then I don't answer quickly, because you can't handle the truth.
Yeah.
Okay, all at once, right? Isn't that true?
Yeah.
And I don't mean it to be funny, but because it's very serious. But that's the process. And so I'm just glad that you're here, and others that come, and they get something, because I have seen throughout the years people that have even destroyed their brains by meth. Just by being in the meeting, it has a mental healing in them that affects their brain, that they start to be able to put things together. It takes time, but you have to keep layering it in little by little, and it's not just what they able to think through, it's what they catch in their spirit that affects their brain. And I've seen that, and I didn't necessarily believe that before I watched it, you know, but it happens. And it's not one person that does that, it's that spirit of love, acceptance, and grace, and of course, trying to be honest and true. So, and I know I interrupted you on that, but I thought it was so important, so I did. And if you remember where you were and you want to go back to it, you're welcome to. Robert.
Just one little side thought. So this meeting that I had, this men's group meeting at church, is on Tuesday from 6 to 7, Tuesday evening. However, my Gamblers Anonymous meeting is from 7 to 8. And so they used to have the men's group meeting on Saturday morning, which was not a conflict for me. When they moved it to Tuesday night, I told the organizer, I said, well, I'm happy to come, but I'm gonna leave early because I have to go to my Gamblers Anonymous meeting. That is what saved my life. And those people are important to me, and maybe one of these days I'll talk to you about it. And he said, okay, no problem. And then after I told him my story, he asked about my story, he said, you better get to your Gamblers Anonymous meeting. So I think he's a little more understanding of that now.
And you have a new accountability buddy.
Say what?
A new accountability buddy. Somebody's gonna hold you accountable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good, yeah.
Well, Willie, you're sure taking a long time here.
I know, I'm still trying to get over that word she just said. If we think back to the time before we entered recovery, we will probably recall that we didn't respond very well to preaching. Yet we also realize that there are people in our lives who could be helped by our message.
Do you agree, disagree?
Yes. I do.
Why do you think so?
Because it's like, like Will said earlier, he could come here, he could be himself. He listens to what someone else says, and that's similar to what he was going through. That's the same way when I first come in. It's probably the same way when Vanessa or whoever else come in. We come in, we find out that, hey, these people have the same problems. Find out that we're all together in it. Although it may be a little different, we're still together in it.
Yep. Go ahead.
This is why we need to communicate our story, but do it with sensitivity.
Do you agree with that? Sensitivity?
Yes, I agree with it.
Why are you squirming so
How
much?
do we,
Because I am not very sensitive. I'm telling you.
yeah, that's,
I'm still. You want to trade
Well,
me
why-
places right now?
Why, so I'm gonna ask you the question I've got written down here.
Okay.
And it is written down here. Why do you, now I'm talking about, I've got it circled and highlighted, but do it with sensitivity. What I've got written down here is, why do you think so? Why do you think we need to do it with sensitivity?
Because we're not going to get our point across if we're demanding or we're bold. You got to, or else they're not going to grasp on to what you're saying.
You mean like pushy or threatening?
Right.
Okay, yeah. And so you agree with that statement?
Yeah.
Okay.
You catch more bees with honey than you can vinegar.
Okay, good statement. I like that. So what about a person that has a hard time doing that?
It takes a lot of honey. Three to 4 years and you're still hoping that you say the right words? Because there's a lot of people watching out there. That's why you don't look up at the camera.
We do have quite a few watching.
Yes, we do.
Today. I noticed that tonight.
Oh.
Just in case, well, maybe
Curious message.
we've got one guy from Mexico watching, so. And I had another one from California. And so, all over.
Thanks for watching.
Yeah. So, let's go forward.
That was sensitivity. Apostle Paul taught Timothy that to get the gospel message across, he has not only to preach to others, but also be an example by putting his beliefs into practice. Paul said in 1 Timothy 4:15 and 16, "Give your complete attention to this matter. Throw yourself into your task so that everyone will see your progress. Keep a close watch on how you live and on your teaching. Stay true to what is right for the sake of your own salvation and the salvation of those who hear you."
Good. Did you have a comment you want to make on
I
that?
was waiting on your question.
My question is after the next,
Okay.
after the next two sentences.
All right. When we-
But if you have a comment, you're welcome to make it.
I don't have a comment right yet. That's pretty self-explanatory right there for this point in time.
That. Maybe that's the reason why I didn't have a question there.
Right. When we practice these principles of the 12 steps, others will be watching and notice the change. This opens doors for us to share our stories.
Now, do you agree with that? Disagree?
Well, yeah, I agree with it.
Yes. Why?
Because if I didn't agree with it, why am I up here trying to teach it to someone else?
Well,
That didn't answer your question, I know, because I'm stalling. Because when we do the change and we tell the people about the change that we have, then they're going to start looking to see, okay, did they change? Did this really happen, or is he just blowing smoke? And eventually, 2-3 weeks, well, yeah, he did change, so he could help me.
well, I started off tonight by asking the question about what does it mean, talking the walk, and Bobby said, well, that's it's supposed to be walking the talk, and so right here it's talking about walking the talk, right?
Right.
And so people notice you when you are walking out, you're doing what you're communicating, okay? You're talking, you say it and you're walking it out. And you're practicing. Right here it said that you're practicing the principles, the 12 steps. And people, have you noticed that people watch you? Okay? In my earlier days, no matter where I went in the country, and I went on a few trips, and people in different parts of the country knew me, or they knew my family, or they knew the church, okay? And it was like everywhere you went, you were being observed, which was okay, because I was planning on being me everywhere I went anyway, okay? And so I wasn't hiding. And so, but the fact of it is, people watch. And I remember a guy that came here, and he said, I remember you. I was putting a roof on. This is over in Webb City. I remember another guy who said it happened over, we were out visiting we were doing an outreach on Saturday with Saturday Night Live, and I had another guy said, I remember you because we were putting a roof on, and you and that big guy, this was Zach Watson was with me, he's the big guy, and he said that, I remember you, but this guy that was over in Webb City said, he was from Chicago, and he said, I remember you because people in Chicago don't act like you. And he wasn't trying, that was a negative statement, that was a positive statement, but it was something that we were doing, which I was talking with people on the street. And that impressed him, or at least it affected him. What I'm saying is, people watch us. Now, they're watching us to see if we do something bad, they watch us to see if we do something good. That's the reality, right? Whether we're on the job, whether we're in the park, whether we're wherever we're at, right? So we are a representation of something all the time. What do you think about that? You already knew that though, didn't you?
Yeah.
So, Willie, are you ready to go?
Yeah, see you tomorrow.
And by the way, this two next words I've got circled, by the way.
Every addict is a precious lost soul whom God loves and wants to rescue.
So, what does that mean? Every addict. What does that mean? And by the way, I made up a information sheet that I have a definition, which I didn't get one, of what an addict is. Go ahead.
Essentially, everybody.
Right, everybody.
Who has not come to the realization of who they are and how to be better?
Well, I believe that God wired us to be addictive to something,
To worship.
to Him.
Yeah.
And so if we don't fill that empty spot with what fits in that empty spot, and then we fill it with other things, imitations or artificial things, or things to cover it up, or then that's never fulfilled. So I think that we're biologically wired to be addicted. Now that may sound weird, okay? I've never heard anybody else say that before, so I could be totally wrong. I don't think so, but I could be. Of course, I could be wrong about anything and everything, but I wouldn't say it if I thought I was wrong, right? So, but wouldn't that stand to reason that we're wired that way? And so the enemy would use that God designed for good and tried to use it for bad. Wouldn't that make sense?
I think even Jesus pointed it out because he said, you can't serve two masters. And so with that being said, it implies we will serve someone.
That's what Bob Dylan said.
Exactly. Well, I don't know if it's Bob Dylan.
You don't know Bob Dylan? You gotta serve somebody.
Oh, I'll look that up. I was born in the 80s. I don't know Bob Dylan.
Man.
She has to know Bob Dylan.
Oh, she probably does.
Coming out.
Me, like maybe my parents listen to Bob Dylan.
There's a movie coming out Christmas Day about Bob
I'll
Dylan.
go watch
Really?
it.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Now I don't know much about him, but I know he did that, you know.
Okay.
And so, anyway, thank you for giving me that opportunity.
You're welcome. I have no idea what I was saying, but yeah.
Go ahead, Willie. Oh, did we ever talk about Addie? Anyway, it's back here on the sheet if you want to look it up, anyway, I don't have it on this paper. I put it. So go ahead, Willie.
If someone among you wanders away from the truth, let me start over. This is James 5:19 through 20. If someone among you wanders away from the truth, whoever brings the sinner back from wandering will save that person from death and bring about the forgiveness of many sins.
So did you? What do you think that means? Did you want to?
Well, if you're trying to, if they wander away and you've got enough confidence in yourself to tell them your story that would probably put them back on the right path, then not only is that helping your soul, but you're saving their soul.
One of the questions that Vanessa will be talking about here, about the difference between preaching and sharing and telling your story. If you tell it as a story, then you're really sharing. But if you do it in an authoritative way, demanding that somebody should line up with your story, then that would be more of a preaching type of deal. Right. And sometimes we have an automatic resistance to being told what to do. Have you noticed that? It's called being human. Okay. Willie, have you ever noticed that?
Yes. Don't put me on the spot like that when I'm trying to think of something else.
That's a trick question.
Yes, it is. Everything's a trick question.
Okay. What did you
got one?
learn from this lesson?
Will's got a question.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I didn't know if it's always pulled up or not, but have you ever had anybody come to you with because they noticed a change in you, and if you did, how did that make you feel?
Well, it gives a sense of joy. when they do. Yes, I have had several people tell me that I'm a lot better than where I was. Some people that knew me 20 years ago knows how I was versus now. And some of you ain't seen that side of me. And I hope you never do.
I still got one more question. And did they give you any confidence that you can move on forward? And have you showed anybody else that same things that they may go through on their too?
Yes, the confidence, they gave me the confidence. As for me, I try my best to put somebody, like Doug asked, well, how does that work out for you? I've got 2 kids. Both of my kids are doing better than I am. Now, I raised my kids by myself since they were 2 years old. My daughter, my oldest. Both of them kids are doing real well. They're doing real well. Man, you put me on the spot. No, we're done. I'm done. I can't go on.
So what did you learn from this lesson?
Well, sometimes you just need to tell someone, hey, man, this is the way, this is how. No. Man, don't give him the floor no more questions. He does that on purpose.
You gave it to
I
me.
know
I
it.
didn't do it.
My takeaway? Or
Well,
what did I learn?
we'll skip that question and go, what's your takeaway?
My takeaway is to hope that everybody that wants to get better will. And the ones that don't know if they can, hopefully we can show them how to get there.
Good deal.
So,
Excellent.
and now, before I get off here,
Will says he has another question.
go ahead. You're up next when we come back with step 1. I can give you a lot of questions on
I'd really
that.
like for everybody to start following along with these lessons and give questions to everybody so we can sharpen each other. Because the Bible does say something about iron sharpening iron.
Right.
So
Working the steps, they're supposed to be working them anyway.
if it ain't hurting, it ain't working. So come hurt this.
That's the reason why I try to mention who's doing it next and the topic so that you can look into it. And so, that's great. Thank you, Willie.
I'm so excited about tonight.
So excited.
And I just can't hide it. All right, so I just pulled a gray hair out. Hold on.
Wisdom glitter.
It just came right out of my head. What does that say?
Wisdom glitter.
Okay, so I'm gonna read step 12 again before I read the questions, since it's been a minute. Having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to others and to practice these principles in all our affairs. Or interactions rather than affairs. The first question is, Paul encourages Timothy to throw yourself into your task so that everyone will see your progress. What I want to say about that is what it doesn't say is go stand on a street corner and let everybody see. You know what I'm saying? Where Jesus said, don't be like the hypocrites. Okay, so it doesn't say that. It's just give your all to what you're doing. Other people will notice, but don't be so like arrogant. You're like, look guys, I'm feeding the homeless. Like, don't do that. Or whatever. So, what changes in my life can others observe since I have been sober and working the 12 steps? Well, I don't know exactly what others can observe, but I know what I can observe. What I can observe for myself is that I'm not responding with so much responding with so much rage.
Good.
I'm not responding. I am taking time to listen
Good.
before I respond. I'm not even craving alcohol
Good.
anymore. I'm working on quitting cigarettes, which I never thought I would work on, but this year I've had 3 pretty good attempts. This one I can't say others have observed because my sister bought me one of those like metal smokeless necklace things that like you can like suck on and it's supposed to like imitate a cigarette or whatever. And I wore it for a couple of days and smoked like 5 or less cigarettes, and then I lost it for a while. And then I found it again and I was already back up to a pack a day. But we're gonna try again coming up. So I think I will say this year has been, I said I can't say what others have observed, but I have had some conversations with my family, you know, where the last 5 years really, they have seen a different version of me. Prior to this whole year, 2024, they saw a more mellow, more like isolated within myself, working on those responses type of Vanessa than the previous years, where if you looked at me sideways, I might cut you, okay? So it has been a process, and this year, you know, because I've been isolated from my family for so long, I've been isolated away from my family about 10 years. So whenever I'm coming back, like I came all the way back, I moved out onto the family compound. We all live there together in separate houses, but they're getting to see a whole different me. And a couple have said some things, you know. A few still don't really know how to have conversation or react towards me because they don't know how I'm gonna react, which, you know, I just let that be. So, because that probably reflects something in them that they probably need to work on. So, I'm not gonna go beg them to be like, you know, you're okay if you treat me this way. I'm not gonna do that. Anyway, do you have any question?
I had a question down. Can you ask others? You know, I mean, could you be, you know, is that a thought that you would entertain that you would ask others, you know,
What they've observed?
what they have observed?
Mm-hmm.
It takes being vulnerable
Yeah.
and open.
Yeah, like, so this month I've worked really, really hard on, well, this whole year, but this month specifically, I feel like I've kind of dove really deep into building the foundation of who I am, so that when I am able to ask that question, I'm not going to be rocked. Like, I'll still know my truth, and I'm not going to be able, or I'm not going to allow them to be able to pull me back into who I used to be. Because I do know that there are several people in my family, several people from my past that have very strong opinions about me. That those opinions have been a lot of what took me to the depths of depression, you know? And so until my foundation is completely firm, I'm not willing yet, but I am working on becoming willing so that I don't end up back there.
I do want to put a word of caution. You have to be careful about what state you're in, that you're able to do that, and who you ask. Because I tried to be careful about who I throughout in my early years, I would have personality tests, and I'd ask people to take it from as being an observer of me, and which was very helpful. But I had one person that says, Why are you always trying to grade yourself? Which was a little harsh. But that was where that person was, okay? And there was a point at that, but the answer to the question was because I want to get better, you know? And and I'd always been, I never really wanted to know what people thought, because I already knew what they thought, at least that's what I thought, I figured, I figured they were gonna reject me anyway, so why ask, right? So anyway, I'm just saying, that was part of my process, and you gotta be willing to take some of the good with the bad.
And do personality tests, which I love to do, by the way. I do personality tests on potential people I'm going to date. Like such a Sheldon moment, but anyway.
I have a funny experience to share about my wife and I. When I was married, she had a friend who was newly married, and the women were very good friends, and I hardly knew the guy, but they had the big idea that we should go away for a couple's weekend to a hot springs and just have a nice time. I said, okay, well, that sounds fine, and then so we did. We drove to the hot springs and had a nice dinner and had a nice soak in the hot springs, and then we went up to just kind of go to our room and kind of play a game or talk or whatever, and the women said, we have something that we found in Cosmopolitan magazine. It's a couples survey. And I looked at the guy and I said, uh-oh. And they said, no, this is gonna be great. And I said, I would really rather not do that, because I think we're gonna end up in an argument. Because we can either say what we think you wanna hear, or we can say how we really feel. And they say, just say how you really feel, it's not gonna be a problem. And so we started and after about 2 questions, the women, it was gonna be each couple in a separate room, but after about 2 questions, the women went to one room and me and the guy stayed in the other room. But the next morning, everybody apologized and
You called it.
all right. So I'm not fond of personality tests.
Maybe the ones that are cosmopolitan aren't so great.
Yeah.
Sure. You need to pick the test, but that's a good story.
Yeah. So Paul wanted Timothy not only to teach others, but to be an example. When I share my story with others, am I preaching or sharing my experience? Now let me tell you the difference between preaching and sharing your experience. If you've been to church, you know preaching. Where
Say it again.
if you've been to church, you know what preaching is, right? Or and I'm not gonna just say it's just Christians. It's anybody who has not done any introspection. It's so much easier to sit and be pick apart your flaws than to own their own, right? So if you have somebody coming up to you and being like, man, you destroyed your life, look at you, it's yeah, I know, I'm my own worst enemy. I really don't need you telling me, am I completely aware of all of it? No, but I have a great idea of exactly what I've destroyed, So that's the preaching where, I see it a lot too with people in recovery. They'll go through the steps 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, go out there and they'll start working with other people and helping, and then, they quit smoking cigarettes and they're like, oh, you stink. Or, you're triggering my recovery because you're tweaking, or I smell alcohol on you. And then they get just as judgmental, and it's like, did you forget when you were there? And in all honesty, it's not just people in recovery, because people in church are the same. Everybody has issues. Everybody. That's why when we talk about the bracelets, it gives off a list of addictions. Everything is and can be an addiction. Workaholism, working too much is an addiction. It is.
That's me.
I mean, I've had that destroy my family, my parents, you know, I watched it with my parents. Reason why we were latchkey kids, because our parents worked so much because they couldn't stand each other, right? So, anyway, very passionate about that, if you can't tell. Sharing your experiences comes from a more empathetic place, where it's like, bro, I know. I do understand what you're going through. It might not be identical to what you're going through, but I do know the despair. I know how heartbroken you are. I know how much shame you're feeling, how much guilt you're going through. You know, that is sharing your experience. And then going on to share your strength and what you've learned and the hope that you can impart to others, being like, you don't have to be stuck here. Like, there is a way out. I know the hole that you're in right now might not have stairs or a ladder, but let's go ahead and just dig out some stairs. You ever seen that picture of, there's one guy in a hole over here and he's just like sitting there waiting to die, and this guy over here is in a hole and he's like actively like chiseling stairs out of the dirt, you know? So, and with that being said, sharing a little bit of my experience, if you don't care, because I was really excited about this. I got this book, and it is based off of Carl, is it Jung or Jung?
Young.
Carl Jung, Jung, so it depends on what language you speak, how you want to say it. It's called Sacred Contracts, and it's by Caroline Myss, MYSS. And basically, so this is based off of his archetypes. And I don't know if you've talked about the archetypes a little bit. The different archetypes are like how we represent ourselves to other people or even to ourselves, right? And your victim, I think the 4 base ones is like the child, the saboteur, the prostitute, you know, and not prostitution as like what we know prostitution, but somebody who will sell their values for something else. So whether it's, I'm going to sell my value of my peace and my personal space for the happiness of my children, which sometimes, you know, as parents we have to do that. Or I'm going to sell my value for the happiness of the person I'm married to, instead of allowing myself personal time, that self-help time. Do you get what I'm saying? And there's another one and I forgot, but basically what this says, the book itself says, like, before we come to earth, the path is laid before us, and we have these contracts, these divine contracts or whatever with certain people. We're born into certain families that kind of help build certain archetypes, right? Whether you're a victim, you're the abandoned child, the wounded child, blah, blah. And with seeing like my interactions with other people as like contracts that I have made, and I'm not telling you to believe that like we did this before we came to earth, whatever, but seeing them as contracts for how I'm going to show up in that archetype, because each archetype has a negative and a positive. So the victim can keep you in depression, or it can be the catalyst to pull you back into who you really are, right? And that's the same with all of the archetypes. And being able to see it that way, Doug asks us a lot, what do we learn? You know, what's your takeaway from this? And that's really what the contracts are for in every reaction or in every relationship. So how you react is your dividing point. Are you going to get better and become like your higher self, or are you going to continue down the path of destruction? And what this says is the way they interact, everyone has a child archetype. For example, so the inner child in you connects you to the inner child within everyone else. And thinking about that, psychology says that the way we show up in life is wherever the trauma began, we're still stuck there. I don't remember exactly the term for it, but it's like being stunted at like 5 years old, or 8 years old, or 13 years old. So how your responses are is you're gonna respond like a 5-year-old, you're gonna respond like an 8-year-old, you're gonna respond like a 13-year-old, depending on which piece you're triggered, right?
That's
So-
your emotional development.
Yes. What is it whenever you're stunted at an age, do you know that term?
You stop emotional development at that particular stage of your life that you have that trauma, or you go into behaviors that alter, try to alter those states, or,
Yeah,
so.
I just thought there was a term, but anyway.
If there is, I'm not familiar with it.
Okay. So learning to read your own archetypes, or learning to understand how you're showing up, allows you to read others, which I think helps open the door for more empathy. And it provides you with a better capacity for understanding and connecting with your loved ones, family, friends, colleagues, and even strangers. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is like I've been reading this book a lot, and I've been able to go back during prayer and during meditation, and I've even like started doing yoga and like really grounding myself. And I think that it does line up with the steps here, because every step provides questions that makes you do inner reflection. And so when you get to a point where you're interacting with another person and you want to fly off the handle, you can ask yourself, who am I right now? Am I being a victim right now? Am I being the saboteur right now? Somebody who's sabotaging their life? Because a lot of times, like if somebody's being overly nice to me or doing something for me, I will sabotage that, right? Like, what do you want? But I just said that because I don't want to talk about my past. Everybody here knows my past, but some stuff that has really helped me in sharing my experience, which I hope that some of you guys have seen my progress. That these are the ways that I'm doing it, and I love that Doug talks about the archetypes. I didn't know that this book had anything to do with that. It just said sacred contracts, and my heart was like, I think I might need to read that book. And I opened it, I'm like, oh, yes, I definitely needed to read this book. And so I wanted to share that with you guys. I did buy the only copy at Books A Million, so it's cheaper online anyway.
Okay.
You have any questions?
Did you do the last question?
I did. Wait, I did not. It's on another page. Okay. Am I able to let the other person make his or own decisions by relinquishing control and letting God do his work? I can honestly say at this point, depending on who the person is, and for the majority of the time, 98% yes.
Wow.
There is still a 2%.
Yeah, but measure that in comparison to where you've been.
Okay. So, where I've been before is there was 0% chance that you were going to have any control of yourself if you were within my environment. If your stuff had anything to do with me or affected my surroundings whatsoever, you were not in control. I was. And even to the point where like being a martyr, which goes back to being the saboteur, somebody who sabotaged everything. And I didn't even realize that I did this until my ex-husband pointed it out, whereas like I just wanted peace, but I had no peace within myself. I just wanted external peace. I didn't want my kids to hate me like I hated my parents. I didn't want him to hate me. So instead of making them do chores and having a conflict, because I was so conflict avoidant, which I can't even say like this is codependency, because I was not happy about it. I was just happy that nobody was fighting. Like I wasn't getting anything out of helping people other than leave me alone, go away, and just don't scream. And don't make me scream. Because that really was what it was, is that I was avoiding my own anger. Because I was scared of it. I was scared to hurt my kids. I was scared to hurt him, because I had hurt so many people with it. So I always did the dishes. I always cooked dinner. I put it away. I cleaned up, you know. If the animals did something in the house, I picked it up. I never asked, you know. And same with anybody. Like my car breaks down, I fix it. And I know I've shared with you guys before that like I was always the person that I couldn't ask for help. I didn't want help. Because another thing that developed within that too, talking about control, is if I did ask you for help and you messed it up and it didn't meet my expectations, and I had to redo it anyway, like those were real issues. And so those were the controlling things where I had to come to terms with, my kids are not going to fold the towels the way that I want them folded, but I ask them to fold it, and as long as they're folded, that's okay. And if they're folded and they're crammed in the closet and they're not folded after they're crammed in the closet, that's okay. And I even got to the point, like, the things that would stress me out, like laundry, I hate laundry. I don't know anybody who loves laundry, but folding clothes and putting them away has never been my strong suit. It's not my children's strong suit, and that was always like a big, huge conflict. So, as long as they got stuffed in drawers, I'm okay. Or if you got laundry baskets and they're hidden, that's okay. So a lot of like radical acceptance, right? So accepting the things that you cannot change and changing the things that you can. Can I change my laundry issue? I know Will's looking at me like, can you really not change that? For my mental health's sake, not right now. So.
But you have, you're at the place that you are now.
Mm-hmm.
Previously, you were not.
Correct.
Because I heard several different changes through that story.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, some would say, well, that's not acceptable. But the fact of it is, that's the way, it's all increments. We move little at a time. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
You move a little bit at a time. And we have to accept that, okay? That may not be what we want, but we accept it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If I accept reality the way that it is,
Mm-hmm.
then but I prefer to grow, but I accept where I'm at. I don't like it totally, but I accept it. You can accept something and not like it.
And when you realize like who you are as a person, and you stop comparing yourself to your mother, and I'm saying this for myself, stop comparing yourself to your mom, stop comparing yourself to your grandma, and realize that my mom's house was clean because we were locked outside. My grandma's house was clean because there were no kids inside. So if I wanted to be a different kind of mom who didn't do that to my kids and would allow my kids to stay inside, my house is gonna be dirty.
And that's one of the increments that I was talking about. So you move, well, I just didn't want to have that conflict, so you tried to mitigate in a different way. Now, and that mitigation wasn't all that it maybe should be, but it was better than the way it was or the way that you lived.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So we're in process, and you're in process.
Yes.
And so my question is not really a question on this, but I put the Serenity Prayer down underneath that question.
Okay.
And you just about
I don't have
cited
all
it.
of it memorized.
You
But
just about cited a while ago, God grant me the serenity to accept the things that I can change, right? The courage to change the things that I can, and to know the wisdom.
except the things that I cannot change. I think you said can.
God grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change,
Yeah.
the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
Yes. Yeah. And I was really, really excited about sharing this book because I do love you guys and I am very proud of where everybody is in here. And like Doug said, I want to share the things that have helped me in case it helps you. I will give a warning, there is some like astrology talk in here if that's not your jam. So don't get in here and be like, oh, Vanessa's like believes in all this other stuff. So, but it is amazing stuff. So, and I hope if you do get it, it helps. Or keep listening to Doug because he talks about the archetypes.
Thank you.
Any comments from anybody? What did you learn from this?
Oh man, that I'm an amazing person.
Yes. We've always known that.
You may have known it, but I didn't. But I do now, and I can sit here. I used to always be scared of compliments, always, and I'm still working on that, and always scared of like accepting them or speaking any kind of higher of myself than woe is me, because I didn't want to come off as braggadocious or arrogant or proud or anything like that. But it is okay to come into agreement with my Creator and say that I am His beloved and that I am amazing, and other things like I am His garden, like that's what Song of Songs says, like, and I am beautiful and I'm fearfully and wonderfully made, and it is okay, and there's no arrogance in that, because if I say I'm less than that, then I'm not in agreement with my Creator, and I'm telling Him that He's a liar. And so that's what I learned.
What's your takeaway?
That I love life, and I love where I'm at, and I hope to strengthen my foundation so that I can share with others and not get knocked back. Yeah.
Good. I like it.
Yay.
Any comments from anybody? Questions? Thoughts? Insights?
What an awesome meeting. I love it.
You know, I know that it's not just the words that have been spoken or that we speak or I speak. It's more than that. It's more than the words that's picked up. And so I'm grateful that you're all here. I'm grateful for the folks that are watching on the internet, in the live and in the replays. We're not here to make anybody do anything. We're just here to try to help. And if something that we can share, our experience, our strength, our hope, something we can share helps you, then use it. If it doesn't fit right now, set it on the shelf. Maybe it will later, right?
Yeah.
And because all we're trying to do is share what we believe is the truth. And hey, yeah, right. You know, not everything that I thought was true, I found out later was true, but that's the process. We're working on it. And if we are honest and we continue to walk in sincerity, well, Scripture says He will lead us and guide us, right? And so, even when we're being led and guided, sometimes we get off the track, right? But He wants to help us get back on the track. And that's what He wants to do for all of us. For me, for you. So, may the Lord bless you, keep you, may His face shine upon you and give you His peace.
Amen.
Amen. And make healthy choices. And again, we won't be here next week. For the next 2 weeks, we'll be back on the 11th, and we'll be dealing with dangerous self-deception. That's a good topic. Okay.
Merry
Does-
Christmas, Happy New Year's.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's, and Happy Holidays, and whatever. So